Bloodwolf Arts Studio. Unleash the artist within.
Welcome to Bloodwolf Arts Studio, and I'm your host, Mr. Moonlight. So today I am talking about the context of the poem written on August 15th, 2011, and it's titled A Journey of the Heart. So this poem was written when I got what I um, knew as my direction in getting married. And so this was there's a whole lot of stuff to this particular poem. Um, it was written about where I was. It was almost like a catch up. It was like telling the story of this girl that I had direction on. And anybody who's not familiar with the culture of the DCCS, direction basically is just like a dream or some kind of believed sign from God that this person is going to be someone that I need to approach, present myself as a choice to marry them, and potentially going to marry this person. Um, so I had received direction on this girl, and this poem essentially it's titled "A Journey of the Heart," and so it tells the story of what led up to this, and it recounts when I first met her, and I had met her when I was in grade school, and it talks about all the usual feelings and all the stuff that goes along with a first crush, because that's who she was. This girl was my very first crush, and I had believed that I was like not going to marry her. I kind of give up. I was like, whatever. I guess this is part of God's plan. Acknowledgement's like, okay, well, I'm making sense of it. It's like, okay, God's protecting me by this girl not going away. It's divine order. She's going away. I've let go of the idea of ever marrying her. And then all of a sudden I get this direction, and I'm like, yo. And so here I am writing this story about her. And before I go any further, um, just so anybody that's unclear with the culture here. So when a guy in this community, the DCCS, is getting married, there is like a 90 to 95% chance that you're either going to be marrying your sister, half sister, um, first cousin, and if you're lucky, your second cousin. And the remaining 5 or 10% are guys that are marrying women from outside of the community to bring them in. So that's the dating pool. That's the marriage pool. I mean, they don't really do dating in the community. Um, they don't really do that. It's all courtship, arranged marriage stuff. Um, you don't think it's arranged. That's part of the system. You don't think it's arranged. At this point, when I wrote this, I didn't know that it was all arranged marriages. I didn't believe that. Like I thought I was actually choosing who I was going to marry. Um, but for the women in this community, then it's not a 95, like 95% chance. It is like it's more like 100% chance that you're going to be marrying your sibling or your first cousin, or if you're lucky, your second cousin, and maybe your half sibling. Um, and that's basically the life of the women. So men, anyways. So this girl that I um, was talking about in this story, she's my first cousin. So my dad's brother's daughter. And I think there's in this one particular, for this particular girl, there was like one or two more poems I wrote about here later. So those are farther on. They go a little more details. I think there was only two more, but those are farther in. And so this poem basically captures a bit of what the courting system or arranged marriage system looks like. There's a lot of focus on you have a dream or you have some kind of sign from God that you're going to marry somebody, and then you present yourself, and then you basically just let everything go, and you let things sort out. And then it's like, because you never know who you're going to marry, like a lottery, I guess. I don't know. And because what you don't know in the system is that there's people, there's like fathers and other and mothers and stuff pulling things behind the strings, and leadership pulling the strings to decide who's going to marry who. Um, all sorts of things. Nowadays they do like DNA testing and stuff, because of all the genetic defects they're getting because all the close marriages. Um, but so this whole system is like you're presenting yourself as a choice, and then you basically let go because you're trusting in the one over you, um, and everything, and for God to guide and line everything up. And then when things look like they're starting, like there other people start getting an idea that there's like, okay, maybe there's something there, and they whatever, and then they start, um, you know, lining things up to associate. And because like remember, like there's no dating in this culture. There's like no dating. You only date once you're like engaged to be married. I've seen some people get, uh it's like they don't even know who they're going to marry, and then it's like they they find out who they're going to marry, then like by the end of the week they're married. And it's like that's that's the culture. That's the culture. um and so this poem kind of gives you a snapshot of the culture, but my own personal experience where it went from this whole, okay, there's this girl I really like, I connect with her, you know, and then first crush, and then all of a sudden I get the direction. It's like, okay, and so it's like you're not, and then it's like you're talking to the fathers. Basically, you go talk to the girl's father, um, sometimes the mother, and rarely ever do you actually ever get to talk to her until you've jumped through all these hoops, like these hoops of the leadership signing off on the approval, and the parents, the dad, both. Like there's like 7 or 8 people involved in this whole process, and you see that um, go over a bit in this poem. I mean, it's not like a really long poem, but you gets you a pretty good snapshot of my essentially this was like my first experience with the dating, or with the courting culture in the DCCS. And I think I remember I first had a crush on her this girl when I was like 8, and I think at this time, let's see, the date on this was in August. Yeah, so I had just barely turned like 19. And so this is like 11 years after I had a crush on her. It's like, oh, she's back. Like, oh my gosh, God says, it's like all this stuff. It's a whole thing. And so this was essentially like my first um, uh, bit of experience where it's just like all these years. I'm like, yeah, it's like trusting in this system, God, trusting God. And it's here I am, 19 years old, and it's just like all of a sudden it's like one lands in my lap. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this girl. It's like I like this girl, and I'm like, ah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's working out. And so it's just like I don't know. And so you see all that in the poem. So, and like I said, there's a number of poems more later in my series about different women, different experiences, part of unraveling all of this. But that's what was really going on. That's what inspired this poem. There was a lot of stuff behind this one. Um, and I mean, this was, in my earlier videos talking about like wanting to get married so bad. Like this was like a culmination. Like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's like it's finally happening. It's finally happening. Ah. So anyways, so that's this one, a journey of the heart. So stay tuned for that in just a minute. Remember to like this video, subscribe to my channels, and subscribe to follow me, like my Facebook page, Blood Wolf Art Studio, and follow me on TikTok if you like, as Mr. Moonlight Rhyme. And um, look down in the description for a link to a copy of my books if you want to purchase those. And so, thank you for stopping by and tuning in, and welcome to my side of the moon.
A Journey of the Heart by Aaron Brown. Once upon an ancient time, I was a little boy, playing on from day to day with my favorite toy. Just as soon as I grew up, I found an awesome place. A place filled up with newfound friends, with smiles upon their face. A place called school is what it was. Adventure at every turn. We would laugh and have some fun, along with what we learned. Then one day, I saw a girl, both beautiful and nice. We had always been good friends, but now she was my life. There was now a little feeling that began to grow. I was now afraid to talk. She made the days seem slow. We had very much in common. It made my heart run miles. Every day was now awaited, waiting for her smiles. We sometimes would do lots of stuff, well, at least at school. Then one day she moved away. There went my schedule of seeing her from day to day. It seemed to slow my mood. Over the next few many years, my heart just seemed to brood. Then one day, with my Lord's help, I realized what he'd done. He was trying to save me for my true and number one. If she had not moved away, it could have been bad. I wouldn't have been open to my Lord's perfect plan. I truly did appreciate, and do thank my God, for his hand in saving me. My mind was now more broad. I was then more open to the best that God did have, making sure myself and others would have what they need have. Even though she had been gone, she stayed upon my mind. I did see her rarely oft. She wasn't hard to find. Years went by with her gone. I began to know what the Lord did for me plan. Horizons seemed to grow. Then one night I had a dream, which the Lord did tell, telling me to find that girl that had made my heart swell. My heart raced at what I learned. I talked to many fathers. While I tried to live what's right, I wait instruction farther.